Welcome to the Platinum Pinfall. 1, 2, 3. Welcome to the Platinum Pinfall. Stephen Platinum here. It is April 22nd. And it's actually the day. I'm all caught up and everything's great. Though I probably won't be able to put this together until I get back from work later this afternoon / tonight. But I want to do the video part. Let's look at it. Boop! Fight forever! Fight forever! That's the name of the new AEW video game, apparently. They told the live crowd at Dynamite, and then they took some sound recordings. And I imagine they'll do that at a few of their next live events to get everybody hyped up, promote the game. Fight forever! Oh my god, it's so freaking indie-tastic, non-WWE. The game looks good, though it's already April, when the implication was it would be released in the early part of the year, and they have not announced a date, which tells me they're not sure, and so they're smart enough to not announce a date, so they have to officially pull it back. But hopefully it comes out. I think it would behoove them to come out by the end of the summer at the very, very latest, so people would compare it to the WWE video game, which is, while it's considered an improvement, it is considered an improvement over their last game, which is considered one of the worst video games of all time. So not high praise, and AEW can come in here and steal it, and I would imagine a larger percentage of their fan base will definitely buy this video game. I know I'm looking forward to having it, and we'll see where it goes. Next story. Boop! What is that? That's Killer Cross and Scarlett, his valet, gorgeous valet, getting married on a glacier. Not the wrestler, because that would be very weird, but a real glacier. So congratulations to them. What's notable is this couple, which not too long ago had the coolest entrance in wrestling, and they were the hottest act going on any show, anywhere, didn't get signed by anybody. And now Killer Cross finds himself as part of the Control Your Narrative gang, which is the equivalent of wrestling death, in my opinion, or it's certainly getting to be that way. But enjoy your wedding, enjoy Scarlett, enjoy him, sure you will. And you got married on a glacier, which is cool as fuck. It's too bad you weren't with a major organization that would have definitely made some hay about the fact that you got married on a fucking glacier. It's badass. And then finally, boop! John Cena continues his Compliment Everybody to Death tour. He complimented Max Caster of the Acclaimed in AEW to death, and he complimented AEW. Now he's complimenting Randy Orton, who's made 20 years in the WWE, and saying how great Randy is. But Randy is more interested in talking about all his weed-related t-shirt products. And how excited he is about 420. And Randy is probably one of the guys who's spearheading this. The WWE, contrary to the hoax that we talked about, it still fines you for weed shit, like $2,500 a pop. Randy Orton either pays it and doesn't care because his contract is so big, or he's exempt from that, I would imagine. I don't imagine they hit Randy Orton with no $2,500. He'd probably be like, fuck you, I'll fucking leave out of nowhere if you do that shit. In any case, Cena continues his I Love Everybody tour because my career is going so good. And Randy Orton continues to extol his love of weed. And finally, this little video chronicling the Super NES against Sega System and how they're confronted by PlayStation is one of the coolest, weirdest fucking things of all time. And so I bring it to you because I love you. In any case, this has been the Platinum Pinfall. 1, 2, 3. By the way, very close to 30. Very close to 30 people on Patreon. So if you've got a friend that's like, man, you got to join this shit, you can see the Platinum Pinfalls for as low as $1. The other shit might take more. I think I'm going to drop one about my fucking AI experience, my first month with my virtual girlfriend or whatever. That's going to drop this weekend, hopefully. But yeah, in any case, thanks for being patrons. I'll talk to you later.
このセガ野郎 情けない。何の小細工だ、任天堂野郎。ほざくなセガ野郎。任天堂組は孤軍奮闘で頑張っているのだ。愚か者どもめ、ソニー組からの挨拶だ。ソニーだと？ソニー組にゲーム機の何がわかるというのか。目撃せよ、底知れぬパワーを。見るがいい、3メガバイトのラムの凄さを。ジェスト知るがいい、32ビット CPU の速さを。驚くがいい、この3時。今3と言った。一体なんだそれは。死。行け、戦いの火蓋を切れ。誰だ。安心しろ兄貴、こっからは俺がやる。
Welcome to the Platinum Pinfall 1, 2, 3. Welcome to the Platinum Pinfall. This is for April 23rd, 2022. We're just going to jump right into it. Boop! You got the president of New Japan Wrestling shaking hands with the guy who runs AEW. We're going to do a pay-per-view together. That's a big deal. Why am I even talking about this? Because both sides are going to benefit greatly, I think, from this relationship. AEW further establishes itself as the entity that you go to outside of the WWE when it comes to pro wrestling. And New Japan gets a foothold back in the United States, which they desperately need. COVID definitely ended all those kind of relationships and that kind of thing. This is a mutually beneficial relationship, which should go very well. Now, often working with Japan groups doesn't go as well as people would like. We've chronicled that kind of thing over the years. But this relationship with AEW would seem to be mutually beneficial. And more importantly, I think a future streaming service could definitely use some beefing up as far as footage between Ring of Honor and Japanese stuff. That's a pretty good basis for your average hardcore wrestling fan. So cool stuff. Oh, Matt Cardona, who continues to be the smartest dude going, who doesn't have a WWE or AEW contract in the United States, in an interview talked about how he would entertain any offer. I can't believe, frankly, that the WWE has not reached out to this guy, but it seems inevitable, and they will have to bring him in with a much better deal than what he got when he left. He's another one of these guys that has reinvented himself, made himself incredibly relevant, and has taken on the veneer of a main event style star. And congratulations to Matt Cardona. Again, it's something that young wrestlers don't look at, but they should, because he has done a stellar job making himself incredibly interesting and marketable. And then finally, boop, Adam Windsor, who's a guy who's been around the wrestling scene for quite a long time, but hasn't done anything in quite a while. Most famous for being trained by Dory Funk Jr. And it is no doubt that Adam Windsor had an incredible passion for wrestling. I found him the one time that I got to work with him to be really chill, kind of one of the boys kind of guy. This news has taken people really hard. He was very young, 40 years old, heart problems, left behind wife and kids. And a guy who I felt like was really exposed and exploited because of his love of pro wrestling, if I'm being honest. Adam Windsor, rest in peace. And yeah, it's just a tough one. There's just no other way to say it. But to lighten things up a little bit, our video is it's fucking ridiculous, but I think it's hilarious. In any case, this has been the Platinum Pinfall. 1, 2, 3.
Oh shit! Beethoven just dropped, bro. Yeah, I just saw it. Play it, hurry up. Oh shit! I like that. Okay. He don't miss. Oh shit!
Welcome to the Platinum Pinfall. 1, 2, 3. Welcome to the Platinum Pinfall. 3 quick stories about wrestling. This is for April 24th, and I am in a Camaro. A bitchin' Camaro. I ran over my neighbor. Bitchin' Camaro. Now I'm in all the papers. Because you find me a bitchin' Camaro with no insurance to match. So if I happen to run you down, please don't leave a scratch. I ran over some old lady one night at the county fair, and I didn't get arrested because my dad's the mayor. The line is super long. One of my many jobs, I move rental cars around, and right now we ain't moving worth a damn. So I'm absolutely taking this time to do the Platinum Pinfall. Whoop. Whole lot of beeps. So our first story. Whoop. That's Damian Priest. Look at pictures of that dude. Boy, you really see the work that he put in. He completely changed his body type. He sort of looked like Umaga in his early pictures, and now he's that streamlined swimmer's body that the WWE loves so much. I just thought I would give some love to that, and I know there's a number of wrestlers that I know who are in the midst of their weight loss journey and getting in better shape and all that kind of stuff, and you should look at people like Matt Hankins and Damian Priest for inspiration. Pretty cool stuff. Now, speaking of transformations, that's Randy Orton 20 years ago and today. Man, you know, the things that are remarkable for Randy Orton in 20 years is how he looks very similar in a lot of ways. To me, that's super interesting, as well as, you know, super cool. I just find that really interesting to me. Randy Orton celebrating those 20 years. I saw a story where he also mentioned that he is going to wrestle forever. He's like, Roman Reigns is eventually probably going to do movies, and a bunch of other people's do movies. He's like, I'm just going to outlast everybody. Whether it's true or not, I think it shows that Randy Orton is the sort of the consummate game player and really smart. I think it's a smart reputation to have, especially as a babyface. Really interesting stuff to me. And speaking of really interesting, what is that about? This is a story about Vince Russo publicly snitching on Jim Cornette. I think their war back and forth is really hilarious, but this is a really interesting thing where Vince Russo, who was a big believer in Triple H from the onset, apparently, according to Russo. But Jim Cornette's like, I just don't see money on the guy. Basically trying to get Jim Cornette in trouble and paint Jim Cornette with a reputation of that guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. I find it hysterical. I find it funny. And in this rare case with Vince Russo, I find it's probably true. That's not to say that Jim Cornette didn't change his mind later, but Jim Cornette tends to make a broad sweeping generalizations and judgments. I know this from experience from talking to him while Davey Richards was rising. He's like, I don't really see money on that guy. But then when I ran into Jim Cornette later, as they were about to put the title on Davey Richards, he's like, we're gonna make some money with him. So it's not to say that people can't change their mind. So I don't doubt that at one point Jim Cornette was like, there's no money in Triple H. But I'm sure he changed his tune later on. But I do think it's funny that Vince Russo is so petty. And then finally, our video is this incident that happened at a baseball game. And boy, if baseball was like this all the time, I certainly would find it a little interesting. In any case, this has been the Platinum Pinfall 1, 2, 3. Have a great day.
3-1 swung on towards left center field. This one's going toward the warning track at the wall. It's over the fence. It's a 2-run home run to give the Lions the lead. North Central has taken the lead here in game 1. Oh my! Oh no! Oh no! That was out of nowhere.
Welcome to the Platinum Pinfall 1, 2, 3. Welcome to the Platinum Pinfall. This is for April 25th, 2022. I'm walking from one terminal to the other at the airport at work. So it's a good time to do this, assuming I have enough storage space on my phone. So we'll have to figure that out. First story, what is that? That is Bret Hart, who supposedly has signed a deal with the WWE, somewhat in secret, in an obvious move to stop him from being part of AEW. Bret Hart is managing FTR at an indie promotion, not at AEW as previously reported, and clearly the WWE doesn't want to see that happen. Now, people can make all kinds of judgments about Bret Hart if this is true, how he would work for the WWE, but I have no doubt they backed a Brinks truck up. Again, going with my theory that AEW, which was once seen as the non-thrifty spenders, are now making the wise fiscal choices, and WWE is spending through the nose to stop the momentum of AEW. Second one, boop. Supposedly on Raw tonight, we're going to have Asuka and Mustafa Ali return. Now, if this actually happens, this means one of two things. Either there is a really deep embedded mole at the WWE who's leaking this information, or they're doing it with the approval of the WWE in order to generate interest and get into the news cycle. I think it's the latter. I think the WWE is tired of AEW dominating the good news of the wrestling world, and so now they're putting out things themselves. Now, Mustafa Ali is the more interesting of the two to me, because he's wanted out since for months, and we'll see if they can make him happy. As for Asuka, this has been a long time coming, and hopefully Creative has something for her. And then finally, the long-standing rumor that Stephanie McMahon and Macho Man Randy Savage had a sexual encounter apparently has been reinforced and validated by Stephanie Bellers. Who's that? That's the once gorgeous George, the once girlfriend of the Macho Man, who has confirmed that he confirmed that with her before his passing. Very interesting. Oh crap. Well, anyway, what's the video? The greatest spot in wrestling history. That's all. This has been the Platinum Pinfall for April 25th.
This is the end of the Rumble here at Legendary Action Wrestling. The last two, the biggest two in this whole Rumble. Who is going to win tonight? Michaels, and he's out of it! Ladies and gentlemen, your winner!
Welcome to the Platinum Pinfall 1, 2, 3. Welcome to the Platinum Pinfall. This is for April 27th, 2020. Got a great reaction from my sort of, I don't know what you want to call them, location shoots, Platinum Pinfalls that I did at the airport. So you get to take a look at where I live. And I'm literally taking out the garbage. So, 2 birds, 1 stone, all that stuff. First story. Boop. Who's that? It's AC Mack. Do you know who AC Mack is? You should. AC Mack is the IWTV World Champion, and that's wonderful. But now, it appears he's in the habit of belt collecting. Why is this a news story? Because I think we're definitely in the era where having more than one title in more than one promotion is quite the prestigious thing. And part of AC Mack, I'm just going to be honest about AC Mack here. He's a great talent. He's not the biggest dude. He's got assets, and he's also got stuff that could be seen as liabilities. And I think it is very smart from his perspective, and for all of these various promotions that are trusting him with their title, to make a thing out of him.
Hey, is that trash?
Yes.
Take it on the back here. I'm going that way anyway.
Oh man, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, man.
No problem.
You would think that that was an infomercial for where I fucking live, right? That's pretty great. Anyway, I think it's one of these things where it's mutually beneficial, and if we, I say we as the collective wrestling community, can really continue to give attention to AC Mack, as well as him delivering the goods every time he's given the opportunity. That's how guys who are a little off of the beaten path, who are not 6'4", muscled up, whatever, can get signed and get attention. So I'm all for it. I think it's great. Next. Boop. Elon Musk acquires Twitter for $44 billion. Why the hell is this a wrestling story? Because it's to put things in perspective. For people that, because wrestling is a smaller community, and people tend to say crazy stuff without realizing it. Do you realize the kind of money that's getting thrown around here? So it's $21 million from Elon Musk, and the rest from bank loans in order to float this thing. Dude, how many times could this guy buy, conceivably, the WWE, for example? So I think sometimes when we talk about finances and money in pro wrestling, we really lose the bigger picture that pro wrestling is really just content. It's not a massive conglomerate. It's not this massive thing. The WWE even, which is the biggest of the big, and nobody my age certainly ever thought that the WWE would be this huge, where they're getting, you know, billion-dollar contracts over 5 years and $50 million every time they wrestle in Saudi Arabia and all this kind of stuff. But you realize in the grand scheme, it's still small potatoes. In the same way that somebody put this in perspective for me. There was a time, see, now that I don't have to put the trash away, I can just take a walk. Let's go take a walk by the pool. Somebody really put this into perspective for me. There was a time where if you had a kingdom, just the way finances worked, if you had a kingdom and you were royalty, and your kingdom was large enough, and you had a large enough fiefdom with enough peasants growing enough, you know, grain, whatever the fuck, that you could raise a standing army. Nowadays, even the wealthiest people in the world, even Elon Musk himself, if he tried to raise a standing army and have a military presence just of himself, it wouldn't be shit. Because the economics of everything have become so far out of whack. So I put this story here One, because we'll see how the changing of Twitter affects pro wrestling, who uses Twitter very effectively, including the WWE, on down. And a reminder that as big as the WWE is, they can be bought tomorrow, and have made that very clear that they're up for sale. Interesting. And then finally, boop, John Cena's response to Austin Theory. So Austin Theory, as he should do, as he's getting a push, sort of went after John Cena, implying like I'm bigger, stronger, more talented. And John Cena, who is in this weird Zen state in his life, responded, I thought, in a very clever way without downplaying Theory. On the surface, again, it's the difference between intelligence and wisdom. And I think John Cena is reaching the point where he's wise. And he basically complimented Theory. Yes, you're stronger. And by the way, out of all the compliments that John Cena gave, Austin Theory is not stronger than John Cena. John Cena is fucking powerfully strong. So that's bogus. But everything else, sure, he can make the argument. And he goes, now are you going to have the longevity that I had? That's the key. And again, it's Cena wins again online. But it's a nice rub for Austin Theory at the same time, who's clearly in the midst of a big, huge push. Now, what that means in the modern WWE, we're going to have to wait and see. What is our video clip? Our video clip is a pretty spectacular one. Our video clip is, I'm impressed constantly by lucha spots and how they've elevated and what, for example, Rey Fenix does. This guy combines the Rey Fenix rope walk / run with a nice little flip-it-a-do at the end. It's just an impressive thing. It's just a nice thing, and it's nice to have a wrestling clip in the wrestling section video once in a while. In any case, super beautiful. Look at this pool. I might have to hit this pool after I get out of work. In any case, this has been the Platinum Pinfall. 1, 2, 3. Welcome to the Platinum Pinfall. 1, 2, 3. Welcome to the Platinum Pinfall. This is for April 27th, 2022. Boop! Steve, that doesn't look wrestling related. It's not, except that it is. This is about Atlanta, which is like the Hollywood of the South and all this stuff. So all these tax breaks to get a bunch of productions to film there, Marvel movies film there, a ton of series film there. A bunch of my friends now are like working actors, and it's really, really great. But recently things have sprung up where the #1 talent agency that handles most of the Atlanta people, when it was revealed that even in like semi-prominent and speaking roles and things like that, that for the most part, Atlanta-based actors were working for scale, meaning the minimum allowed under the Screen Actors Guild agreements, where their New York and LA counterparts do not work for fucking scale in similar positions. The position of the talent agency, at least one person there, was, look, you get fucking paid $1,000 a day to sit in catering, and you should be grateful for the gig, and etc., 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 sparked a lot of outrage. And it got me to thinking that the one really great thing about wrestling is, even though the South claims that they're much maligned, they don't get as much attention as their Northeastern neighbors and that kind of thing. At the end of the day, pay scale in wrestling hasn't really been a problem. And it continues to not really be a problem. Part of this is Tony Khan paying so generously during COVID when there were no gigs. If you were to do those, I mean, they're paying $750 fucking dollars, and that's way more than I got paid to wrestle, even like with the WWF and things like that in those intermittent shots. And those were national level shows, not some YouTube shit, right? So, and though that pay has gone down, it's still significant. Plus, the opportunity is very real. And even the WWE has scaled up their pay quite a bit. And this idea of the downside guarantee bullshit and all the rest of the stuff that they try to get away with, they've shied away from it. And Triple H saying that if you're on television on SmackDown, you're making at least $250,000 a year, and that has nothing to do with incentives and all that. Well, they're bullshit. That they recognize that the landscape has changed, and even indies tend to pay much better than they used to. So fascinating that wrestling, in a small way, in a kind of a theoretical sense, is much more fair than even quote unquote Hollywood, or at least movie and television production, are. I just find that fascinating. Next one. Dark Side of the Ring Season 4. It has not been picked up yet. And rumor has it that it is not likely to be picked up. And frankly, I'm not shocked. The ratings for Season 3 dropped way down. Plus accusations or implications from people who have done the shows that they simply steer the narrative way too much, and they take things out of context and all the rest of it. I've really felt like, though I enjoyed the stories in Season 3, that I felt like they were too narrow in scope. Plus, a lot of the whatever kind of... Now, you're saying, like, how can you tell stories about Brian Pillman and Chris Benoit and all the rest of the stuff that they did in the Season 1 and 2 and make this next statement, but I'm going to make it. I found Season 3 to be incredibly joyless. I think, yes, it's called Dark Side of the Ring, and the stories they're covered are really dark, but I just didn't find it... I mean, for me personally, I found it enjoyable. I could not imagine someone who wasn't a hardcore wrestling geek overall finding it enjoyable in the least. I've said this about Dark Side of the Ring, that they very rarely offer new information to people who are hardcore into the stuff like I do. And their presentation isn't something that encourages me either. So I can't imagine people getting overly excited about it. It's the interest, and I think they don't do themselves a lot of favors by putting things on YouTube right away. Proof is, the Plane Ride from Hell episode, which was the one that garnered them the most attention, was actually one of their lowest rated, but viewed a great deal on YouTube. I just think that they've completely lost track of how to do a television show that's effective and sustaining. And I think that's where we're at. And if they get picked up, I'll be really shocked. And then finally, Cody Rhodes tells this story about Randy Orton. I love that Cody Rhodes feels like empowered to do all this stuff. I was told Randy is a family man now and he doesn't get into trouble. And I can't believe it. First time I met Randy, the first time I saw Randy was in Cape Town, South Africa. We were at TV Hotel for a tour. Very nice hotel. I'm passing by the men's bathroom. There he is, Randy Orton, with his hands around the urinal and saying to me, "Hey, Cody, check this out." He started to tear the urinal off the wall. The water was coming to the lobby and he was laughing. I thought, I don't know if I have what it takes to be a fighter. The other day, there was a meeting with the talents and security cameras as evidence. They asked who did it. Randy stepped up very seriously and yelled, "Hey, I want to know who did it." We looked at each other. This guy is crazy. Randy Orton has done a very successful job in rehabbing his image. There's no doubt about that. I mean, he was a guy who did a bunch of really inappropriate stuff and stuff that probably would have gotten him fired nowadays. But he's made the 20 years, and maybe that's part of the celebration too. In any case, what is our video today? A lot of people have been asking me, like, to get clips that they've heard about. And so I guess there's people who haven't seen the Mike Tyson punching that dude on the airplane footage that want to see it. So here you go. Anyway, this has been the Platinum Pinfall.
Fuck your boss, fuck my boss.
This is George talking to Mike Tyson, bro. This shit crazy, bro. Mike Tyson. Dog done got lit, man. He over here rapping with Tyson. Mike Tyson trying to give us some shrooms. You don't know how to act. Tyson looking out, man. This shit crazy as
He should have never gave you niggas money.
Peasants. They're peasants. Hey. Hey, Mike, come on. Let's go stop back. Let's lose the horse, man.
JetBlue, mid flight. My boy just got beat up by Mike Tyson. Turn that way. Yeah, he got f***ed up. Just trying to ask for an autograph, man. I don't know what happened.
Welcome to the Platinum Pinfall. 1, 2, 3. Welcome to the Platinum Pinfall. Lighting's kind of shitty. I'm here by the pool. It's late at night. But I thought it would be fun, and I feel like doing it, and I will officially be caught up once I do this video. Let's just get into the stories. Boop. What is that? That is Mr. Hughes talking about The Undertaker being inducted into the Hall of Fame. And now that means that Mr. Hughes thinks that he is the most deserving person to go into the WWE Hall of Fame. Fuck that guy. Next fucking story. Boop. So the Iconics, or the Inspiration, or whatever they're calling themselves now, have apparently left Impact Wrestling and probably retired from wrestling altogether. Interesting. I guess it's one of those things where it's surprising, but really not that surprising. It seemed like, and this is, just a pure subjective judgment, that their heart really wasn't in it. That they did Impact Wrestling and they kind of went through the motions, but they just weren't really down to be in pro wrestling anymore. And that's cool. At least it seemed like they went out like nice, and, Scott D'Amore had nice things to say about them, and that's going to be the end of it. It is what it is. And then finally, bop, Nick Khan of WWE fame says they're going to do more stadium-style events for premium pay-per-views, whatever the fuck they're calling them now. Is this a big deal? I think it is. I think this shows a shift in wanting to present their thing as the biggest in the world. It doesn't matter if they don't fill up these places. You got to understand that they don't care. And they did 8 events in stadiums last year, or larger arena settings. That might shock people, but they're going to do even more. And look to have, every time they do these once a month or sometimes twice a month events, that most of them, if not all of them, are going to take place in places that seat, let's say, more than 20,000 people. It's just the way they want to go. It's just an effort to be able to claim a kind of victory, and to show that we're number one, and it's another symbolic thing. Do I think it's a good idea? I think it's really too early to tell. But as it is now, I think for their major pay-per-views, whatever the fuck they call them, and even for some of the ones that aren't so major, they could probably pull off a close to a sellout crowd, especially if they give away tickets. And more importantly, it's just the perception of, look how many people are here and look at how they're enjoying themselves. What is our video? Our video is Mark Marrow. That dude is old now, but look at how physically capable he is. And apparently very happy, and he's with the Lord, and he's got his life together, and all that kind of good stuff. Anyway, I think it's kind of cool, and so I'm going to share it with you. In any case, this has been the Platinum Pinfall 1, 2, 3 for April 28th.